Howdy folks, BC here. You're watching Deucing Guns, and today I'm going to show you two very easy, cheap, and quick ways to trim your brass. Now, in order to accomplish both cheap and quick trimming, what I'm going to do is take two of Lee's most economical trimming setups, the old hand trimmer from decades back, and these newer Lee Quick Trim. I'm going to apply power to both, and I'm going to show you the advantages and disadvantages of both. And please note that all brass today has been run through the sizing die and has been deprimed. First of all, I'm going to talk about the old school Lee hand trimmer. It's basically just a cutter that sometimes has a wooden handle on it, sometimes does not. And you buy a caliber specific trimmer, I guess length gauge, that just screws in. You used a cutter on pretty much every caliber you've got, and then you buy different length gauges that you slide the piece of brass down, but not until you mount it onto the stud here. There you go, and it just tightens down like so. And all you gotta do is, you can do it by hand, which is basically like that, and it will automatically trim to the length of this gauge. Or Lee was kind enough to put a hexagonal in there that will correspond with a drill or electric screwdriver. Going the wrong direction. And that's one of the issues I find, is that if you don't crank down this nut hard enough, this brass seems to walk out sometimes if you're not careful, which sometimes I am not careful, especially when I'm trying to do it quickly or on camera. And if you really crank down that nut, then of course you get a good trim. Oh, then the whole thing comes out. But then you cannot get that nut undone very easily. There you go. Which costs you a lot of time and trouble. Sometimes you even have to resort to a Leatherman getting it off. Does it work? Sure it works. I didn't do a good job on that one, but it does actually work. Let me put that back in there, and I will show you that it indeed does work. But of course it's going to need some deburring and chamfering, which will need a deburring and chamfering tool of your choice. And now that is ready to be reloaded. Now the pros of the Lee hand trimmer is the fact that it's ultra reliable, ultra cheap, and there is just simply, it's so simple of a machine that nothing can go wrong without it being mistreated. The problems are the fact that it's clunky, it's slow. If you're doing small batches of brass, it's going to be fine. But if you're going to be processing 1,000 pieces of brass, this is going to tire you out and wear you out, and it's going to take you forever. Another disadvantage is the fact you have to deburr and chamfer the brass before you can use it, because it will leave a sharp edge. And lastly, the trim length is not adjustable except for filing down the little bit of pin right here. So you better like your final adjustment, because if you don't, you're going to have to buy a new one. Now, some of you old school viewers remember when I did a Lee Quick Trim video several years ago, where basically you took a die and you mounted that into your bench press, and then you used a cutter that also did the chamfering and the deburring. Had a little bit of adjustment in there as well, and it had a hand crank on it, which meant that large batches of brass took you forever and tired you out. Well, Lee has come up with a solution, which is the Power Quick Trim. And now to install your Lee Power Quick Trim, basically you want to clean out all your clutter here, and you want to unscrew the handle off of your cutter. Now be careful, the springs are in here that actually actuate the deburring and the chamfering tools inside that, so you want to leave those alone. Take this out of the package, already had it out playing with it earlier, and just screw it right on there. Very simple, very easy to do. It has the same click adjustments as the crank handle does. You stick that right into your electric screwdriver, and boom, new cutter. And everything else is just as it was before. You have a little tray here that goes down onto the brass holder that catches all the brass trimmings. You can just get rid of that. I never use that. It just causes more trouble than it's worth. And of course, the caliber specific die that goes into your press. Oh, there you go. And per the instructions, that should actually meet up and bottom out against the shell holder. And now let me show you this piece of brass here I'm going to trim. First of all, you can verify it is untrimmed right there. Just a normal piece of brass. It's been fired at least once possibly several times. And we're going to take the whole shebang and stick it down into the trimming die, bottom it out, and trim away. There we go. Let me show that case now. If I can get it to focus, it's nicely trimmed, ready to go. Now, along with using this with a normal bench press, you can also use the hand press. As long as it accepts a normal die like Lee's does, it's just fine and dandy. And you put it in there, and you can do this in front of the TV without an issue. Come on, baby. There we go. That is nicely trimmed. If you take a look at that, nicely trimmed indeed. Focus. There we go. The pros for using the Lee Power Quick Trim are basically, it's faster, it's easier, it does a good job, and it actually is somewhat adjustable. Not ultimately adjustable like the Trim It kit is, but it is very adjustable compared to the old Lee cutter that we have used for decades. Now, the cons for using the Lee Power Quick Trim. Number one is that it is more expensive than the old school cutter. Number two, it is much more complex. We have an electric motor, we have a battery, we have many pieces here that will eventually wear out, or much more likely to wear out than these solid pieces of steel in the old school cutter. Now, both of these trimmers have advantages and disadvantages over each other. So you'll have to decide which one actually works best for your situation. Or like me, just buy them both. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It's not really a big deal. Now, I'm going to leave a list of all the part numbers and all the items I used in today's video in the description below the video. I'm not going to tell you where I bought this stuff because prices fluctuate everywhere, so just Google the part number and you should find the best deal. And that's it for me today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and go ahead and subscribe because a lot more of this on the way. And if you have comments, questions, or show ideas, leave those in the comment box below the video. And of course, you guys have a great day. See ya.